Even as we contemplate the memory of Elvis Kwashi, the real boss, we also celebrate our women today. In case you're now connecting with us, happy International Women's Day. Now, joining us for the news review this morning, like I did mention, we have a surprise guest. She's one that, if you're old enough, you would remember. But maybe if you don't, she's a journalist and media consultant. Liz Hayfron-Asare is her name. A very good morning to you, Madam Hayfron-Asare. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
It's a real pleasure having you join the conversation. And we're going to be interacting with her as we dig into the papers as well. But I would just like to start with this little bit. I'd like to find out from you. I mean, contemplating today, I cast my mind back to the times when women were disenfranchised. Even today, where in some parts of the Middle East and beyond, women can't freely drive. They must be accompanied by someone and all of that. There are all of these issues. There's the issue of bias at work and wherever it is, limited opportunities. Reflecting on women up to today, what you saw maybe in your childhood and what you see now, what has changed and what more can change?
Let me start by greeting all women and saying that we are breaking the bias. There has always been a bias against women, and we have been, what word should I use? Struggling or fighting to be recognized. But looking back from when I was a child to now, I think women have made great strides, because now you find women almost in every sector. Even in male-dominated areas, you find women. And you find women doing well, doing excellently, such that the men cannot ignore the women anymore. But there are still biases, unconscious biases, maybe some by women ourselves, but mainly by our male counterparts who think that we are trying to overshadow them. But the percentages are still very low. And a lot more women need to be represented, especially in decision making. But women have made great strides over the years.
Interesting, your take on this bit. How do you feel about this year's theme, Break the Bias? And what areas do you feel in Ghana, in our national life, we should be targeting when it comes to breaking the bias? One thing that comes to mind, for example, you look at our legislative body, Parliament, and you would find 20 women on both sides. Do the math, and you would find what? About 117 men on the other ends. How much do you feel we can do in Ghana in breaking the bias?
A lot more education, a lot more encouragement for women to take up political positions, a lot more interaction with women. Get women to understand that they have a role to play, that they complement the men. It's not like it's a fight against the men. We are not asking that we be men. We are only asking for equity. We are just asking that the men recognize that the women have something to offer. And we need to offer it so that the country is balanced. We are a country that has more women than men, but you have men dominating in almost every sector. And it's still male dominated in politics, in business, in agriculture. So we need to get women to take up the roles and to fight and to work hard and to make sure that we are recognized and we play our parts meaningfully.
All right, so on that note, let me say once more to you and to all women across the world, anyone connecting with us, wherever you are, happy International Women's Day. Let's get into the daily graphic.
Breaking the bias.
Indeed, indeed. And for those of you who are not aware, that is the sign for the day. Break the bias. Of course, we're breaking all the chains, all the fetters. Break the bias. The Daily Graphic newspaper. No need to panic over economic challenges. Professor Kwesi Botwe says so. And interestingly, in recent times, he's been intimating that he was cowed or made to kowtow when it comes to keeping quiet about the economic situation in our country because he was afraid of victimization. And for someone of his stature, the longest serving finance minister, and for someone with his clout, that is, it makes for interesting, very interesting reading. The story is on page 16. Let me just take a quick stab at it. And in there, so it says, no need to panic over economic challenges. That's what former Minister of Finance, Professor Akufo-Addo has said. And he says it is premature to push the panic button over the country's current economic challenges. He served as finance minister from 1982 to 1995. And he said, in order to avoid falling into a catastrophe, there was also the need to create public space for national discourse on the way forward in solving the economic crisis. So allow more people, be more involving when it comes to the consultative process of getting us out of this economic situation. Because guess what? No Ghanaian wants to be here. But let me come to you, Liz. What do you think about the current economic challenges we are facing? How people have been reacting? What is your economic reality, and how hopeful are you that we shall come out of this?
There's always hope if you work towards achieving success. There's always hope, and you have to set your mind to it. But when you come into a situation where everything, like you said, is falling on your head, sometimes you just throw your hands up in despair because you are not seeing your way clear. And if you ask me my economic situation, I can tell you that it is dire because I really don't see my way clear. You go to the market today, things are one price. You go tomorrow, the prices have gone up. You go the following day, the prices have even gone higher. And so you begin to wonder because you know how much you earn at the end of the month and you have a budget that you're leading yourself to or living by. And when it comes to the fact that your budget is thrown out the window and you're spending more than you're earning and you can't save anything, you can't keep anything, then definitely you despair. But interestingly, when Dr. Akufo-Addo says no panic, he has been there before. He knows what he's talking about. Right. He probably is seeing a brighter road ahead. He probably is seeing some light at the end of the tunnel that maybe I am not seeing because he has been in that seat for a very long time. But then it bothers me to think that we do not want to have discourse with him to see how far we can go or to see how we can correct what is probably ailing us today. So it behoves on us, like you said, to have more discussions, especially with those who are well-versed in economics and know how to run a country economically and who know how to deal with our finances as a country. Right.
And it's interesting, the picture you paint that Prof is hopeful, but your economic circumstances, I didn't know whether that gives you a bit of cold comfort or a bit of a bleak outlook. But only yesterday, and this is how serious for some people it is, because for those who are stricken by dire economic circumstances, who are earning 250 cedis a month, 300 cedis a month, 150 cedis a month, this can be excruciating. Yesterday, I was with someone who went to market and purchased tomatoes, and 3 tomatoes, some Mobrawa tomatoes, very small ones, went for 2 cedis. Someone else told me that in some instances, 1 goes for 1 cedi. So you see the reality out there, and you realize that it's a really crushing feeling. But let me just ask you, I want to believe, and this is a very humble question, you can choose to answer it. I want to believe, are you getting any pension benefits?
Why do you think I'm on pension?
I was just asking. I just wanted to know. because I wanted to find out. You know, a lot of people complain about when they move on, the little that comes in is not enough to, you know, keep body and soul together. So I wanted to find out whether you were adding that to maybe your other to see whether things are still going to be better or maybe still be what they are.
Even that, I doubt it would make any difference. I don't think it will make a great difference because you want to talk about, let me talk about some things that I've had to cut back on. Traveling for funerals. I mean, especially out of Accra. If I fuel my car to go for a funeral in Takoradi and come back, a chunk of my money is gone on fuel. I'm not thinking about accommodation and feeding and the like, because let's say if I go to Takoradi, I'll go home, there's a family there and things like that. But the fuel alone, and then you again have to think about the maintenance of the car, going in and coming out. So definitely your finances are just dwindling. You can't really program yourself well. So what you have to do probably would be to cut out certain social activities that you probably would have undertaken. And when it comes to family, it becomes very difficult because when you cut it out, then people think that you don't care. They don't realize that you probably don't have that amount of money to spend. And if you say you're going with public transport, again, not very reliable. You can go and sit in STC for hours before the bus will take off.
Right.
So what other options do you have? And so it is, like I said, for me, it is dire. It is very dire. And for me, who has children who have even finished university, who are still sitting home and can't get employment, it even makes it even more worrying.
What a picture you've painted this morning. Well, Chief, 4 others shot over alleged chieftaincy dispute in Tamale, the Dakbema, now pictured there. And those who allegedly were involved, about 15 of them, the police is trying to sniff them out. I'll tell you about something else the police is doing. They have sniffed out 2 people who are responsible for some of the bullion van attacks we've seen in recent times. Story on page 28. Let's invest for mutual benefit, Prime Minister Motley says, the Barbadian Prime Minister, of course, from our Independence Day celebrations. But getting women into leadership, like I was talking about, Liz, 5 advocate conscious agenda. And the women leaders are the Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Mary Chinri Hesse. There's a former First Lady and founder of the Developing Women for Mobilization, Nana Kunedu Ajiman Rawlings. There's also the CEO of the Ghana Enterprises Agency, Kwasi Yankee Aye, the Director General of the Technical and Vocational Education Training Service, Mausi Nudeko Awiti. And they are asking for a bigger quota in governance. They are talking about progress on women's empowerment, and they are giving that call to action. Liz, the Scandinavian countries, or if you like, the Norways, the Swedens, the Finlands, they're always high up there when it comes to the indexes, you know, quality of life, life expectancy, and of course, women in pole position when it comes to leadership. What do you think the example is that we can learn from them? Because in our world, they are the benchmark.
I don't know. I'll have to go and research that one. But I believe that they're paying attention to women and to what women can contribute. Like I said earlier, it's not a competition between women and men. It's a complementation. So if we see it that way, and if we ask women to work hard and move to the top, then we must be giving them the space. I believe that if women are still striving and are still working hard, women have the capability to go into those positions. But in Ghana, for instance, if you're a woman who wants to go into politics, if your family is not discouraging you, some loved one is discouraging you, all the public is saying all kinds of negative things about you, We have become so negative-minded that we do not encourage women to step out of their zone. Women themselves, like I said, it could be an unconscious bias that, oh, I don't want them talking about me. I don't want them coming to find out anything about me, all the lies that will go on about me. You need tough skin to be able to step into leadership. And if we do not tone down on the negativities that we attach to people in these positions, then we will not be encouraging women at all, because women are sensitive, are emotional, and would rather want to protect their families and live their lives in a kind of somber way than rather be in the forefront where they'll be despised, where they'll be spoken against, where the attitude of people towards them would be negative. So you wonder why you fought for that place in the first place.
Right.
So we need to encourage our women. We need to speak positively, especially the girls who are coming up. They're seeing women get to certain positions, but then it looks like that is the end. That's why we need to break the bias. We need to break those glass ceilings and go beyond, because women can contribute a lot to the development of Ghana. When you look
Speaking, Liz, about breaking that glass ceiling, politically speaking, we've had the likes of Bridget Jokbanuku for the PPP standing as their presidential candidate. We've had Nana Kunedu Agyemang Rawlings for the NDP. We've had Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman as the running mate for the NDC in the last election. All of these. How soon and how expectant are you of seeing a woman become president in Ghana?
How soon?
How soon, how expectant are you?
Maybe yesterday. I'm very expectant. I believe that we can have a woman leader. And I believe that when we have a woman leader, she probably would do a lot more than we expect from her.
Right.
What is happening in Ghana politics now is that women are not being given the chance to advance politically. You always realize that there's some male counterpart somewhere who is trying to struggle with her or fight with her or gain her position. And therefore, all the negatives and all the mudslinging and all the name calling begin. And that is why women are not really putting themselves out there. If that will stop, if our attitude would change, if we would stop seeing women as just domestic beings, being in the home and being in the kitchen, and we see women as being true leaders, fighting for what everybody wants, development and progress, then we probably will put our weight behind the women and they would really make an impact.
Right. Let's quickly get into the Daily Guide newspaper list. 2 cops cited in bullion van robberies, as has been mentioned. Mreku Duka gifts $18,000 car to best teacher. Interesting. Gunmen attack Dakpema Na and 4 others. And this one that I'd like you to chew on briefly, Liz. Will resist coup makers. Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic. How do you feel about all this rhetoric where people have been pointing fingers, saying, look, let's all be very careful because some of the things we're seeing now from the economy, as would be cited by Professor Raymond Atuguba, Dean of the University of Ghana Faculty of Law, to other people, other speakers, security analysts who have said, there are certain ingredients. Watch them, check them, so you don't end up here. I saw a post supposedly from Gabi Asare-Otridako from 2013 where he was citing current Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta and some of the statements he had made back then. This coup talk, good or bad, or should we just keep mute?
Good or bad? Or should we just keep mute? I don't think we should keep mute. And I think it's good. I believe that when we see certain signs, we need to be careful.
Right.
Nobody wants a coup in Ghana. We have said that we won't have another coup. And I'm sure if we go by our word, then if anybody tries, we will resist as a people. And we will not run away. We will resist as a people, and we will not run away. We'll really stand and resist. But again, what is the picture? What Prof. Atuguba said, are there underlying factors that could cause a coup in Ghana? Have we really studied or researched to see what he said and if it is true? If it is true, what action are we taking to mitigate all the things that would kind of like push somebody towards a coup? We need to be circumspect in the way we do our things. We just don't criticize for criticizing's sake. We need to criticize constructively. When somebody says something, we shouldn't be that negative and think that, oh, it's because he belongs to party A or party B, or he's affiliated to party A or party B. Let us be objective as a people. Let us really work towards ensuring that we have a peaceful nation and that nobody is going to take up arms. The president has said that it will be resisted. Good. And I'm sure he's not talking about only Ghana. He's talking about West Africa as West Africa chair. But what are the signs on the ground? Can we do something about the signs on the ground to mitigate anybody thinking or dreaming that that can happen? Let us work at it. Let us make sure that we mitigate any possibility so that nothing arises. It behoves on us to ensure that the country is safe and sound and that people are comfortable and our standards of living are good, such that nobody would want to topple a government.
Interesting. Wonderful points you make there. But also to add that no one wants strife, because in any form of strife, whether a coup, whether a war between countries or whatever, women and children are the ones who suffer the most, and nobody wants that. We see, I was pointing out earlier when I started the show that this is one of the worst humanitarian crisis situations we've seen in Europe in a long time. In fact, the exodus of more than 1.5 million people per the UN's data means that this is the biggest exodus in Europe since World War II, from Ukraine to Poland to Moldova and to all those other countries, Romania and others. And nobody wants that. Let's take a quick look.
You say women and children suffer the most. We always forget the elderly. The elderly suffer a lot,
right?
Especially if they do not have their children looking after them, or if they do not have the younger ones looking after them, that they have to struggle on their own. So we need to start paying attention to our elderly and giving them that respect that they deserve.
Very interesting. Let's quickly wrap up with these next 2 or 3 papers and the review as well. I'll go back to Professor Botre, who says, government must resist solutions that will delay hard decisions. And of course, he intimates there that don't go for the shortcut. It may take some time, but use prudent measures that will buoy our economy in the long term, rather than go for a quick fix that will rather dig us deeper into the hole of economic debt and more. There's also NPP Youth Wing to raise funds in support of Ghanaian students in Ukraine, and NPA protects investors with robust regulatory system. That's according to the CEO. When you consider this, our evacuation so far, when it comes to our students, our brothers and sisters in Ukraine, and you also contemplate the fact that some of them were given the opportunity, their tickets were paid for, come back to Ghana, and they said, no, we prefer to be in war-torn Ukraine than to come to Ghana. How does that make you feel? Especially, and if I might add, especially on the back of Independence Day.
Picture we have painted to the world. We as Ghanaians have painted a bleak picture. So why would they want to come back and come and live here and suffer when we are crying that we are suffering? So we have harped too much on our negatives and we don't see any positives at all. Our attitude must change. If our attitudes don't change, our own will desert us.
I'd like you to quickly do this for us, because you do have a point. We tend to harp on the negative. Even as we've spoken about the bad things, what for you are some of the good things, amazing things happening in Ghana that we should look at and cherish as we celebrate 65 years of national life?
As far as we've come, we probably are not seeing, we are being very short-sighted. But like I said, we have come a long way. We have had women come through from just being secretaries and typists to being CEOs. We have had a country where our mortality rates have gone down. We've had a country where we've been able to contribute positively to our health sector over the years. It hasn't been just one government, it has been progressive. We think that it's probably there now because we do not have all the kinds of monies that we wish we had to be able to live the kind of life that we want to live. But we have progressed a lot. I think that even in our schools are doing quite well. There is more room for improvement. When I look at what we used to study in school and come out with, get all the degrees that we needed, we still had to go back and focus on a career to follow. Otherwise, then we had a degree and we were pushed into teaching and we were pushed into all kinds of things. I think that our focus is gradually changing. Right. I think that it is not as fast as we would want it. I keep saying that I look at the free SHS and I still have a lot of questions that I need to ask that need to be answered. Because are we putting people in school just for putting them in school's sake? Or we are putting people in school and ensuring that the quality that they come out with when they finish school is something that will contribute to developing this country. It's something that will contribute to the person being confident and standing on their feet and saying that, yes, I'm through school and I can do A, B, C, D, E. So let's not just look at the numbers going through school. Let's look at the quality that is coming out. Let's look at the quality of our health sector. Right. Does it need to be improved? Yes, it does. What do we have to do? Are we giving the Ghana Health Service the space to be able to decide what the nation needs with regards to health, or is only the Ministry of Health? Are we making sure that we complement each other? Are we making sure that the sectors are working together such that what has been started will be finished? Are we making sure that the taxpayers' money is not being wasted frivolously because one government takes over from another and feels that what they were doing is not my priority, something else is my priority? Right. What is the National Development Planning Commission doing? Is it coming out with a national plan that will last maybe 20, 30, 40 years so that no matter the government that comes, we have a plan to make sure that we are getting to a certain point? And that is where our focus should be.
Thank you so much, Liz. I'll just wrap with these two headlines and then it's a wrap. Kwesi Botwe, IMF not option to revive economy, contrary to what some others have said. And government borrowed 58 billion Ghana cedis via treasury bills in 2021. The first story was from the Daily Statesman. This one is from the Business Analyst. But Liz, thank you so much for joining the conversation today. And of course, together, we can break the bias. Thank you for joining.
We will break the bias.
Have a lovely day. And that's how we wrap the news review for this morning. There's more coming your way with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi as we veer into sports. Stay.